This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and I'm going to run through a few things this morning, mostly just pointing at some Bitcoin charts and say, big picture looks pretty bullish to me. I might touch on some charts, but because it's FOMC, the standard rules apply, so we'll touch on that when we get there. And I'm going to make a very detailed level 3 members video as well, so I'm going to focus on that for today. The things for everyone to know, okay, is today is FOMC. As ever with an FOMC, if we see the purple tie, it means we pump, right? Blue tie from Powell, and I think we should start to look out below. Other than that, I truly do not mind what he says. I'm sure there'll be chop games and volatility as always, okay? We love to see all this kind of stuff before the markets reveal the true direction. Everything I said about CPI last week in terms of the price action, right? Expecting the volatility, everything I said about looking for the true direction of the market to be revealed on the Thursday and the Friday, and that the weekly closes is what I consider to be significant. Everything I said there is totally applicable to FOMC as well. So I'm mostly going to stay out of the way. I'm certainly not a fan of trading on FOMC day, and as I said, but it is important. Thursday and Friday we should get a true direction, and the weekly closes are what we're going to look to make our decisions. I don't think this rate decision is going to have too much impact on the market. The reason I say that is it's been priced in for a while. We were able to call this way ahead of time. And if the Camel Crew was able to call this, then I can tell you that the CME and everyone else was able to as well. So this was pretty much baked in the cake, in my humble opinion, all the way since the last rate cut. And over the last couple of weeks, when everyone else got to see that it repriced to 95%, then I think it's unreasonable to expect this rate cut decision to have any major significant impact to the prices. However, with that said, Powell can come out and have hawkish or dovish overtones, and depending on how badly he wants to badmouth the market or how hawkish he wants to be, may or may not start to impact levels. So as ever, I don't really care what he says. I'll look at his tie and I'll make my decision based off of that. I've got to cover this because my Twitter was blowing up in the last 24 hours with things like this. Apparently, Biden 2.0, if you know, you know, has called for a ban on stock trading. Okay, now, the reason the Camel Crew always blow this up and tag me in it whenever something like this comes up is because, of course, on the melt-up chart that we reference every Saturday during the weekend's deep dive, in yellow at the top, Congress banned from owning stocks. And it's very, very simple. We saw them do the exact same thing here with the Fed, okay? They banned the Fed officials up here. They always frame it as they're doing it for ethical reasons, right? They always come out and say things like, well, it's not fair that Fed officials who have access to inside information are essentially allowed to insider trade. Right, so they always frame it as if they're doing the general public a favour by stopping these Fed officials trading, but really all that happened was they let them all out of the top, okay, and then we had a bear market. So I was suggesting that it would not surprise me at all if we see the same thing with Congress at the top. I should note here a few things which are really, really important. Number one, this is by no means a prerequisite or a mandatory requirement to see a top come in, okay? A top can come in for this market with or without this. This is just an expectation, and it is by no means necessary to actually see a top come in. Like I said, it's simply because we've seen it before here with the Fed. It would make a lot of sense to me if they did the same thing with Congress. The other thing that's super important to point out here is they have a very, very long history of talking about doing something like this, banning Congress from owning stocks, but then nothing ever actually comes of it. If you were to type in Congress ban from owning stocks and go back a few years ago in the news, right? You can do this on Google, type in Congress ban from owning stocks and then 2018, 2019, 2020, whatever. You will see that this thing gets brought up all the time and it never actually gets implemented. We are here years later after the first time I've seen this proposed, and still to this day, they are allowed to trade stocks. So I do think it's important to be objective and transparent about that, okay? It would be cool for me and my YouTube reputation to see, I told you so. But the reality is, until such time as they are officially banned from traded stocks, then I'm not really putting any weight on anything they say at this moment in time. So if, of course, it gains traction, if they are truly banned, then we can come back here and say, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And again, because we've seen it before. But as I said, until such time as we actually see it, then I don't think we should be pumping our fists in the air or suggesting that I'm some kind of wizard with a crystal ball just yet. Moving into a few Bitcoin charts. Bitcoin continues to look very, very bullish. I showed this chart from Tony a few days ago. And since then, you can see we have now started to emerge to the upside. So 3 into 4, final fifth, up to 150 plus K. And then that is possibly all she wrote for this cycle. Again, there is still an awful lot of debate out there about whether or not we're going to get an early top or a medium top or a standard top end of next year. As ever, we'll stay open to all possible outcomes, but I do think if we see something like this, then the argument is incredibly strong for having an early top to deal with. Nestle points out here, 3 touches, you know how it goes, okay? And if you don't know, what he's referring to is this, and I will show you exactly why. That's because we've seen it before here, okay? 1, 2, 3, quick pullback, and then off we go. So I do wonder if this quick pullback is going to align with FOMC, some kind of shakeout, and then it should be time to pump. And I've showed this chart before from Gert, and we're going to have a look at it again, this time with a few more candles. And as you can see, okay, we are well on our way to completing this schematic. We are well on our way to having that final blow off top move, and then it may well be time to entertain an earlier top. So of course, there's clear invalidation for this. Any kind of base building from here and then, taking longer, we can obviously take this off the table. If we get some kind of nasty correction from here and we have to do something like this, then again, the super right translated, nothing is different, October 2025 top gang are all probably correct. But I do still maintain if we continue to squeeze and nobody knows exactly what we're going to do just yet, but if we see something like this, again, I think on a balance of probabilities, an early top becomes the most likely outcome. And another nice visualization here from Nestle. When we were trading just over 1,000, we broke through the prior all-time high and put in this huge move all the way up to 17k in 2017. You can also see when we broke through the prior high of around 20k, in the last cycle, we staged this big move of about 3x up to 65k. I'm not saying we can, but if we can do some kind of 2 or 3x, okay, we may well be looking at numbers that many people thought impossible for a long time. And Gert makes the case here that not hitting 250k would be the real outlier. The long-term holders are entering the euphoria zone on the Newport, net unrealized profit and loss, of course, historically marking the start of the explosive blow-off wave. So Newport here, getting ready to move into the euphoria zone, just like we saw here, and of course the prior 2 times as well. And notice each time what we got, let's get my magnifying glass here, okay, huge parabolic blow-off top move that coincides with that move into euphoria on the Newport. Okay, we saw the same thing here, huge move. We saw the same thing here, huge move, and we saw the same thing here. Might not look like much compared to the prior times, but this is still a 3x. So is it therefore reasonable to expect another 3x again? Maybe, maybe not. I'll take a 100% move from here to 200k. I think most people will be more than happy with that. Also got a nice spot here from Kushi, who points out that the structure in the NASDAQ from 99 is very similar, okay? Big move up, vertical accumulation channel, before ultimately huge blow off top move. And what have we got today? The exact same structure minus the final missing component, which is that huge parabolic blow off top move. So wholly speaking, seems to me like long and strong continues to be the posture. Of course, it is a volatile asset. Of course, we are probably going to get some shakeouts. Of course, risk has to be managed as always. But at the moment, I remain very bullish, looking forward the next few weeks at least. And so it's going to be a big week for the Dixie. Are we going to be looking at a left translated daily cycle here, and most importantly, a failure and also a lower high? Okay, are we going to be therefore looking for one final puke to the downside? All of those dollar bears probably going to be correct if that's the case. And of course, if we can get a very sharp downside move from the Dixie, we would expect risk assets to soar. However, the thing I am quite concerned we are probably going to be looking at instead is a right translated daily cycle, and here's the key part, that prints a higher high. If we do that, when we zoom out, it is going to have all the familiar symptoms of trouble ahead. So very interested to see where the weekly closes are for the Dixie. Bitcoin is still following the yellow squiggle. We are fairly late in this daily cycle now, which tells me we may have already seen the high for this daily cycle and be looking for a pullback to the daily cycle low. Once that daily cycle low is in, wherever it forms, we will use that to set the third and final blow off top angle, and then hopefully we can set a fourth thereafter, but fourths are quite rare. I'm also going to be covering gold extensively in the members section in a minute, and that is because we are in the timing window now to see a daily cycle low and a weekly cycle low. It doesn't look visible, it doesn't look right, it looks like it wants another move to the downside, but the thing is, rate cuts are very bullish for precious metals. So if this thing is going to break out, I do think we're going to have to entertain forcing some kind of timing based low. We'll figure that out in the members section as always. Silver, however, I will give you this one, is still kind of looking roughly like it's got one low left in it, and if it has another low, then when we put it on the weekly time frame, it will be clearly visible that we have forced the weekly cycle low. Whereas my issue at the moment with gold is on the weekly time frame, that doesn't really look like a weekly cycle low should look. It looks like it needs one more puke. But of course, rate cuts are very, very bullish for the metals. So I'll talk about that again with the members in a minute, as well as a bunch of miners and crypto stocks. What else is there? Okay, I think the VIX is probably top for the daily cycle, I would think, and therefore it should begin its rollover down towards the target area for the VIX trade. I noticed the stock markets are kind of hanging around, not doing much. Same for the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones has fired a little bit of a warning sign. However, if we encompass this wick from down here, then we're still above the what I would consider to be the last point of support. I can't justify pushing a trade that trades below this current trend line. And I also think we're very close to forming a swing and a breakout here. So anyway, we're going to deal with this as always in real time. As I said, FOMC days tend to be a little bit volatile. There tends to be a lot of chop and volatility in games. I really don't want to see a lower low structure here and a gap fill, because if we do, I will have to make the argument we have topped. But I would suspect I would have taken the profit long before that happens. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about the rate cut decisions and assess the situation. As I said, if you're a level 3 member, look out for the video I'm going to put out for you guys. And other than that, have a great week. Cheers. Bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a badass, oh yes indeed. Camel Finance got the markets key. Taking us stormies on a bumpy ride.